Okay, so welcome back everybody. You're watching the Premier League Season 3. My name is Triumphant Man and I'm casting Absolute Legends versus Team Empire. And oh boy, this is a big one for Empire. They are currently on a 22, yes, a 22 win streak. And this isn't just against no-name teams. There is a win in there against Na'Vi that was from the Star Ladder series. So, you know, it's not just no-name teams. They are on a pretty damn big win streak. And I've got to say, Absolute Legends, they have got it all tonight. They've got to work really hard to take down Empire, because Empire currently 4 on GoSuGamersNet. They're looking really strong. I've got to say, they are one of the biggest and best upcoming teams at the moment. But straight up, here we go. AL, they aren't banning off the Tidehunter. Of course, Tide has been extremely popular. Even with the nerf to Ravage, he is incredibly powerful. Such a force in teamfights. Either through initiation or just flat out counter initiation. He can completely swing fights with that on. And he's also just all around a very flexible hero. We see him suicide lane, we see him support, we see him roam and gank. He can do a whole lot of things, and if he gets into a bit of trouble as well, he can always just catch up in the jungle. Anchor Smash, and Kraken Shell and Stout Shield allow him to tank a surprising amount of damage in that jungle. Darkseer, though, being banned out by the Team Empire. Of course, no surprise there. I'm just wondering to see if we're going to see a Naga Siren get banned out. I remember last night we were talking to, who was it? We were talking to Fly from Fnatic Raid Call, and they said they had a bit of a curse of the Naga. Even though they know she's a good hero, they want to run her, but every time they pick her, she seems to fail, and it seems to, as of late, Naga Siren has struggled to really make an impact. Nerf or no nerf, her ultimate still is in effect. It's just that teams, when it comes down to it, they get to the Naga Siren, then they just cannot draft the perfect lineup around her. A lot of people just way too wary about that. Either way, though, going into the third ban here, Absolute Legends, what will they pick off here? They've already picked off one of the big AoE counter initiation ults. There's still plenty of good heroes left on the board. Empire, though, oh boy, they have such a flexible line. And there we go, they are going to ban off the Chaos Knight. We've seen exactly how nasty Chaos Knight can be, and Empire have definitely put him to some good use as well. Chaos Knight, very aggressive. It can also scale at a pinch in the late game, getting wailed upon by 4 very large illusions. Of course, they're dealing 100% damage each. It makes heroes, even the toughest heroes, melt very, very quickly. A couple of good crits here and there will pretty much seal the deal. 4th ban for Empire. I'm just wondering, they do have the second pick, so AL here, they might be happy enough to let, well, they could be happy to let the Naga Siren through here, because if Naga Siren goes through an Absolute Legends first picks, then Empire can quite easily snap up the other big AoE heroes. Of course, Tidehunter is already banned out, and as we saw yesterday, Fnatic, they managed to snap up the Naga Siren, and then their opponents immediately responded by stealing the big AoE ults, and it kind of screwed them over. Absolute Legends, as they open up with a Rubik pick, of course, Rubik sneaking through the time. Empire actually more concerned about the Broodmother. Broodmother, of course, even though she has to be a bit more careful with Spiderlings these days because they give a larger bounty away, still comes down to the fact that she's a very annoying hero to play against. She's always able to catch up in terms of farm, even when she gets shut down early on. And yes, Magnus is not in Captain's mode yet either, along with Meepo. Both those heroes still waiting to come through. Empire, though, their double pick, what will they go with? Of course, Absolutely, just with that Rubik pick is a very, very strong Rubik. And there we go, they're going to pick up the Templar Assassin. We've seen how much fun she can be. I'm just wondering if we're going to see a whole bunch of negative physical armor lineups. They decide to grab up the Wisp. Oh, wow. We could even see a Wisp Tiny combo. That would be a lot of fun. Chaos Knight is banned out, though. We've seen exactly how effective that can be. Wisp and Chaos Knight is utterly ridiculous. It is a very, very powerful combo. The instant stuns and just the instant chain stuns is very, very difficult to deal with. It provides a very strong laning experience for them, and also just to map the global presence. Although Wisp is a really strong force multiplier for any hero that excels at ganking. It's alright for Templar Assassin. I don't think he'll be focusing on working with her, though. I think they'll be picking up another strong ganker for Wisp to work with. We'll see if they decide to grab up the Tiny and Wisp, and Chaos Knight and Wisp are the 2 big suspects to go with that Wisp there. The 2 big combos, but now the double pick for Absolute Legends. They may want to avoid a burst lump. They might want to pick, if they're looking for some more supports, Venomancer would be a good pickup here. Batrider also a decent pickup against the Templar Assassin. They do not want to focus on burst damage. They do need some things to deal with her refraction. The alternative is, of course, a decent jungle like Chenna and Enchantress, with just as long as they make sure they keep their hands on some Wildkin. Tornado is very, very efficient at dealing with the refraction charges. I do enjoy this current metagame, though. Just the Batrider, we've seen a couple of heroes really start to crop up and make some waves. Batrider and Lifestealer have been the 2 main ones that receive some buffs. Batrider, of course, receiving a whole host of buffs. The Shrek, the next pick. Absolute Legends, they have a very solid 3 picks. They're still very flexible as well. The question is what we'll see with the Batrider. We saw yesterday a few gimmicks in the jungle from Fnatic, which then immediately got countered. That's one of the things with the gimmick lineup. It needs to be a pocket strategy, the kind of thing you bust out to throw an opponent off guard, not the kind of thing you run twice in a row, because people can and will see it coming and then will counter it. It needs to be something that you blindside the enemy with. Either way though, Bat's still very flexible. We'll see what they decide to do. And he is definitely a strong solo mid, strong side lane hero as well. And as we've seen, he can jungle quite efficiently as well, provided they don't harass him in there, of course. Enchanter Enchantress in his jungle causes a lot of trouble. Empire will be picking on themselves. And Enchantress, and this is the kind of thing that you can use to screw with the Batrider, who is trying to hide in the jungle and just stack hard camps. As we talked to Fly though, one of the ways to counter that kind of strategy is to actually block the hard camp that you're not using, but at the same time Enchantress can just come over and fight you at that camp you're trying to use and then just steal the large creep from it. Tiny will be banned, Absolute Legends, not a bad idea at all, getting rid of the Tiny. Chaos Knight and Tiny, the two main suspects to go with that Wisp, and I'm just wondering, what are Empire going to try and combo with Wisp instead? I guess we'll find out. Actually, you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing something like a Sven. As Sven would be utterly hilarious with the Wisp. Well, he's got the nice great big stun, can really benefit from the gank as well. And also, the damage block from the Overload as well as the whole attack speed bonus, he really definitely benefits from that as well. I mean, if you can't have a Chaos Knight or a Tiny, I would say Sven is probably one of your next best options. So we'll see what they decide to go for. The Wisp is definitely a force multiplier. You do need to pick something specifically to combo with him. At the same time though, it is a combo and it does have a weak part, which is of course the Wisp. If you pick him off easily, because he's the hard support, has no items at all, it can be somewhat problematic. I was kind of hoping that they'd pick the Chen to go with Wisp rather than the Enchantress, but as it is, they decided to go with the Enchantress instead. Of course, Chen, the burst heal from Chen, of course, makes Wisp, and most particularly the guy that he's tethering, extremely difficult to remove. It is just incredible. The amount of punishment the hero that Wisp is protecting can take when you've got a Chen backing him up with his instant burst heals is incredibly ridiculous. In fact, we saw that during the TI2, we saw players like Artstyle with their Chaos Knight just going 1v5, literally just taking 1v5, all 5 heroes focusing on him, and he would just live through it because Chen was providing so much burst heal down the tether. Windrunner the next ban though, it looks like Absolute Legends are trying to get rid of some of the suicide solos that Empire could use. And they will need one because they have picked up a jungler, so picking up the Windrunner not a bad option at all. There still are a couple of choices left. We've seen a few heroes. Of course, Titan is another hero that sometimes gets picked. Furion is there if they want to try that as well. Also, we do have Sand King who gets used at a pinch like that. Empire will ban out the Disruptor though. That is not a bad, especially when you have a Wisp, that is not a bad option at all, just because basically you can go in for, the thing, what will happen if you have Disruptor against a Wisp, Wisp will jump in with his teammate and go, alright, let's gank this mofo, and then Disruptor will come out of nowhere, hit the guy that Wisp is tethered to with a glimpse, and he will be sent back to wherever he was, and Wisp will be sitting around for the next 10 seconds or so feeling rather stupid, and probably get counter ganked there. It is actually quite silly the things Disruptor can do against Wisp, so a solid ban there from Empire, making sure they get rid of him, because otherwise, without that ban, Disruptor could pretty much counter the global presence of Wisp and the teammate that he'll be dragging around. We'll find out what Absolute Legends ban out 5th. I've noticed the fact that we have barely, if ever, seen a Lycan ban so far, and they ban out the Furion, just trying to make sure, and I do appreciate it all, as well. That is definitely a hero that Empire could have used. Like we said, they need a Suicide Soul. Furion does fit that bill, and also he has that global presence. He can show up with a Wisp and the Wisp buddy, and then just push, set up a gank, and then push really, really effectively. So definitely a solid ban there from AL. 5th ban from Team Empire. Currently AL, it depends how they're going to run this Rubik, whether or not he's going to be a solo, or if he's going to be a support hero. It is still a flexible lineup on AL side, so it's difficult for Empire to really figure out some kind of ban here, but we'll see what they decide to pick off.
10 seconds remaining.
Still plenty of solid heroes left in the pool, but as it is, AL could be going anywhere with this lineup as it is. They have plenty of disable though. They have plenty of disable between Split Earth, Batrider's disables, and of course Rubik with his disables plus his ability to steal spells. Right now Rubik doesn't really have any killer spells to steal, nothing like a Black Hole or a Ravage. But we'll see what Empire pick up next. And it will be the Brewmaster, of course. Brewmaster is a very solid initiator as well as just a flat-out brawler, and he's the kind of hero that can cause a ton of confusion during a fight, so definitely a solid ban there from Empire. And also, like I was saying, the weakness of a Wisp plus Hero X combo is of course the Wisp, and Brewmaster is the kind of hero who can just isolate either the Wisp or the hero that he's trying to use, or the hero he's trying to help with his Storm Panda. So I think definitely a solid ban from Empire. Also, the Beastmaster being picked up by Al, that is possibly going to be their suicide solo. Batrider may be taking the mid in this case, and it comes down to the fact they could still pick up a jungler if they wanted to. Leshrac and Rubik could work together. Leshrac being the primary farmer, they could push with the Chen as well as the Leshrac if they wanted to in the safe lane. Or they could just be going for some dual lanes. I say, like, dual lanes are definitely very effective at shutting down the Templar Assassin in particular. Templar Assassin, we've seen her often get shut down by a 2v1 scenario. Something like a Venomancer is always useful at that. Although I'm not dead sure if they really want to try and slot in a Venomancer last, but we'll see. Fourth pick for Empire. Are they going to pick up their combo for Wisp? I mean, Wisp could work with Templar Assassin. Doesn't really work with Enchantress at all. But either way, I don't think he's that fantastic with Templar Assassin. So I'm kind of feeling something else. We'll see what they go for. And it'll be Pudge. Okay, I guess this is the other option, a big power ganker. Pudge is definitely a possibility with Wisp. Of course, Tether, Rot, and just the movement speed as well for Pudge helps him chase down targets. And of course, just teleporting into position and then allowing Pudge to get off some really killer hooks. Just teleporting trees and then having Pudge just grab them from behind. I am looking forward to Dendy hooks all day long. Let's hope they're Dendy style hooks and not something terrible. I think pretty much currently the saying is, you know, if something's awesome, it's Dendy style, and if something is terrible, it's PGG level. So we'll see whether or not it's Dendy style or PGG level. Fifth and final pick for Absolute Legends. I think we're going to have Beastmaster as a suicide solo, and the question is, are they going to go for a carry? Because they could quite easily pick up, say, an anti-mage and slot into this, or even a Morphling after his nerfs. We'll just see what they decide to go for. But it's a relatively aggressive lineup from Empire at the moment. So they are going to have to be quite careful. They might, honestly, a hero that is great for counter ganking. It makes it very difficult to gank against is a hero like Earthshaker, but we have not seen a lot of him as of late at all. And it kind of disappoints me. He's a very fun hero indeed. Enigma is the final pick from Absolute Legends, and they have a very push-oriented lineup. Beastmaster with his early attack speed aura is quite useful, especially when you've got minions being spawned out by Enigma. And Bounty Hunter is the final pick by Empire. I'm just looking at these two lineups. We've got a very push-oriented lineup, a relatively push-oriented lineup there from Absolute Legends, but it's up against a super gank-oriented lineup. We've got Bounty Hunter, Pudge, Wisp, Templar Assassin, big gankers, like 4 really gank-oriented heroes, and then you've got Enchantress as well, who's a jungler, can quite easily gank targets. This is going to be a very scary lineup for Absolute Legends. They would definitely they're going to have to be watching their backs 24/7, watching out for smoke ganks, invis ganks from Bounty Hunter, teleport ganks from Wisp, blink ganks from Templar Assassin. If I was AL right now, I would be quaking my boots. But this is going to be annoying. If they try to pressure a lot of lanes at once, this is the kind of lineup for Empire that can just pick them apart. They may actually just want to group up early on, just try and push and force the team fights. Because when it comes down to team fights, Absolute Legends, they have an advantage. Of course, they've got the Black Hole, they've got the Shrek, they've got Batrider, they've got Beastmaster, they've got tons of lockdown there. On the other hand, Empire, they don't really have that same lockdown. You see, like, you've got 5 stuns there. Or every hero has a disable on AL's lineup. Whereas on the Radiant side, we've got Pudge's ultimate and a Tether stun. And that's just about it. They don't really have a whole lot of CC. And Pudge, honestly, is going to struggle to get off a good dismember just because of the amount of stuns that we have available from Absolute Legends. So it's saying go now, but let's call out the players while we're waiting. Playing for Empire on the Radiant side, we've got Go Black there on Enchantress, Nebraski playing the Pudge, Scandal on Templar Assassin, SS on Bounty Hunter, and Finnick on the Wisp. Playing for Absolute Legends, we have Mania playing Enigma, Come With Me on Rubik, Vigos playing Batrider, Frieza playing Beastmaster, and Sony on the Leshrac there. And it looks like we've got a 5-man sweep from Absolute Legends. They will be heading into the enemy jungle. This is most likely just to get these wards down, which somebody should be carrying. There we go. Enigma's carrying the wards. He'll be disappearing in the jungle. Beastmaster will be taking the suicide lane. I believe they're just going to try and block the camps. Beastmaster will obviously head over here and start stacking the Ancients. The question is anybody from Empire going to bother blocking it? Something we've seen that some teams do. They throw it in a ward over here just to mess with Beastmaster when he's trying to stack. And this is a very smart ward here. This not only spots the rune anywhere along that line, spots the rune all the way up there, it also blocks the camp. This is a very smart ward placement, one that I enjoy using quite a bit. They don't actually bother blocking this camp though, which is interesting. This ward here though, if you put that there, it can prevent the double pulls. It's quite effective, and especially if you block here as well. Even if they deward here, they often don't think about blocking that one as well, so they can't do the double pulls, which makes it just easier for Beastmaster to make sure he can get some experience back and not have absolutely everything denied. Now it's going to be Pudge down the bottom lane, working with the Wisp. No surprises there at all. Enchantress will be jungling. She's going to be doing her own jungle here, not going to be jungling aggressively, trying to mess with the Enigma. Honestly, I don't think she'll be able to win that anyway, so generally when we see offensive jungling, it comes down to more Enchantress and Chen going to war with each other. And Bounty Hunter has opened up with a magic wand. Looks like he's worried about the spell spam. Also opening up with a shield as well. Hasn't gone for the Basilius Rush. Now we've got Scandal taking a fair bit of harassment here. Now this is basically Vigos just getting ready to harass Scandal. He's just charging up this sticky napalm. And once he gets it to about 5, maybe 10, he might even just wait the whole way, go the whole 10 stacks. Then he'll start charging in with a Firefly and causing a lot of trouble. And you see here Scandal has to back off because he knows he cannot let the charges ramp up. Has to be very worried about that. You see Templar Assassin has opened up with a magic stick as well. Not a bad idea at all. It will give him plenty of burst heal because Vigos is definitely going to charge that stick up like no tomorrow. See there again, she's up to 3 charges. Just going to keep happening and happening. Meanwhile though, it looks like SS could be in some trouble here. Gets picked up. There is a Rev Ward down. Doesn't actually throw him backwards. Messes up the stun. Oh man, that could have quite easily been a first blood there. Unfortunately, it did not really coordinate all that well. In fact, it could have dragged him all the way back because, of course, it does actually play a little marker as to where Come With Me is going to drop him with the telekinesis. Another counter ward thrown further down the lane. The question is, does SS know it's there? We'll keep an eye on this because if any first blood's going to happen right now, this is probably the place for it. Meanwhile, Sony will be the primary farmer in the top lane for the Dire team. And this is something I haven't seen in a while, actually. Leshrac being given the primary amount of farm. See a pull here. Do they succeed? They managed to grab the entire creep wave, much to Bounty Hunter's annoyance. Actually, these two wards here is going to cover around about up to there. It is going to be quite dangerous for Bounty Hunter to try and slip in here. See an early regeneration found by the Batrider. Linnea looking top, doesn't find anything. Batrider having harassed her quite a bit. Here we go. There is a Harpy being sent in just to harass. Barra honestly not doing a whole lot. You see Bounty Hunter copying more harass. He actually managed to slip in a bit of assist. A second stun miss. Sony messing up another stun. This is unfortunate. They really should be hammering this one home. DD being found there by Beastmaster. And already the stack has begun. They decided not to block this indeed. So he will be able to get that quite easily. Mania farming away quite easily in here. Getting very close to his soldering. Once he gets that, he'll be just... won't have to worry about that. Oh, they drag him back this time. Again, a third split earth missing. Sony is just not on the ball with these today. Hopefully he picks them up. I'm going to be quite disappointed. This is our first outing with Leshrac again, and we don't... well, farming Leshrac, and we don't see him land a single stun. Definitely needs to land those split earth to be effective. Enigma now finding himself out of mana. Needs the clarity up there. Enchantress... not actually harassing. One of the things you can do if your mid is having trouble is actually to use the Enchantress or the Chen with Wildkin. Just use that Tornado. It frustrates the enemy mid so bad. It is a very, very powerful harassment tool. That said, Scandal being left to his own devices. Scandal currently sitting on 10 and 6. Batrider on 8 and 4. Scandal actually getting a decent amount of farm despite the harass that's happening here. Although I don't think Vigos has actually gunned for him yet with a Firefly. She's gone for Flame Break. This is an interesting decision. Normally we see Sticky Napalm and Firefly maxed out with 1 level in Flame Break. Rather than going for the maxed out Flame Break, this is definitely a little bit different. Here's the Tornado Harass that I was talking about though, and there are using that Flame Break. Smart move there, getting rid of it because of course this is a channeling spell. You see there, he's taking quite a bit of damage. Scandal now trying to clean up this catapult. Health Potion being popped there by Batrider.
Denied.
Quickly gets knocked off by Linnea. Meanwhile, still no kills from either lane. We'll see how Pudge is doing in the bottom lane. Beastmaster, it seems to be pretty much free farming because Beastmaster is mostly focused on his neutral camp there. Pudge currently sitting on 23 and 17. We'll see what he goes for first. Top lane once again. Can they get a kill at last? They can see him for a few more seconds. And again, they do not manage to secure a kill. Rubik is too slow to move into position. Of course, he is about 15 move speed slower than the Bounty Hunter. And it looks like we might finally see a gank over here. Wisp moving in. It looks like he's in a fair amount of trouble. Wild Axes again. One last hit, and there's the first blood. Wisp going in too deep. Going to mess with Freezer, and then definitely regretting it. He will be back in short order, though. It's only a minor win for Absolute Legends. Not a big deal at all. It's just a Wisp that gets taken out. And if he really falls into trouble, of course, Enchantress can just help him out. Meanwhile, up on top, can they get a kill yet? They can see him once again. There's the telekinesis again with the miss. That's that make 4. Looks like they might be able to run down SS anyway, just due to the edict, or maybe not. One more hit, 2 more hits. There we go. They finally clean up the bounty hunter, but these splitters have been subpar to say the least. It is definitely not working out at all. And we see it. Sonic trap getting thrown down by Scandal. This is definitely a very stock standard position for a trap. As soon as Linnea hits level 6, generally what a player will do is throw in basically they'll throw in a trap in advance around about somewhere on the enemy side of the ramp, just to stack up those slows. And it makes it and everybody will know it's there, so it makes it very risky for them to push forwards. And there we go. Whoa, no hook for Pudge. Bounced off a creep there. They tried to make it happen. They actually tried to time it so the hook would come in and then instantly stun him with the tether. Good attempt, but in the end, did not pan out. Leshrac currently sitting on 25 and 9, not getting as much CS as he'd like. He is definitely falling behind. Rubik has been disappearing the jungle a little bit. That said, SS is finding himself struggling. He has to spend a shuriken there just to last hit. 6-minute rune spawns bottom. Finnick finds it. It is a double damage rune. Picks it up because he knows the enemy is coming for it. Batrider now just shuttling his bottle back and forth there. Templar Assassin throwing down yet another trap. It looks like they're going for a gank on top. SS being picked up once again. Can we land a splitter? This time they succeed. They sort it out finally. And an edict should manage to finish off SS here. I don't really foresee him living through this. There he goes. Gets taken out. This is what I mean. This is the kind of thing they could have done, 3 or 4 times by now, had they just been landing those split earths. So Sony finally getting his act together. I see a tether, no targets down here. Actually, it's on the creep. There is a teleport mid. Looks like we're going for a bit of a counter gank here. The stuns on Cat Scandal. The hook in on Batrider. He may regret this indeed. Gets dismembered. There's the chop from Nebrosco. And an easy kill there on Batrider, who goes in too deep. And a counter gank from Empire gets them on the board. You see Frieza still stacking these like crazy. Still working on getting his soul ring up and running though. Finds himself with a bit of spare space just because Pudge is missing. Wisp though immediately responding with a harass, which is actually quite painful there before old Beastmaster. Looks like Wisp is going to be maxing out his spirits in a second. They land the split earth again to see exactly what I mean. Landing these split earths makes all the difference every time they do it. That is a very dead bounty hunter. And he has Leshrac is doing the split earth edict build. This is pretty stock standard. Looks like there is a charge down to the bottom lane though. They were looking for a gank, don't find it, but either way they should be able to push down this tower now. There's not much Beastmaster can do to hold this off, so they're getting a free tower here. Meanwhile, will we see a counter push on top? Sony has been relatively passive. He's got his arcane boots now, so they can spam just a little bit hard. Not so much Sony spam, but this allows Rubik to spam a little bit harder and just harass Bounty Hunter and force him to stay back. Pudge taking the tower kill there. Runas, looks like they want to camp the bottom rune. Linnea going to be taking the top rune. Batrider heading bottom, may regret this. Enchantress is going to find him. Miscommunication there from Empire. I think that was not the best of maneuvers there. We're going to get the stun down on Go Black. It looks like he may want to back off there, healing himself up. Flame Break misses there. They pick off the Enchantress. Empire seem to be on tilt at the moment. The hook in though does pick up Come With Me. Telekinesis on Pudge. Can they get a kill? Wisp will take a kill there. BVV in some trouble. Vigos may fall here. He does get cleaned up. Pudge though backing up, trying to bait them towards the ward trap there, as Mania now is in some trouble. There is a Sonic trap coming right up there. It is a slow. A stun coming in from Tether, except he's still being body blocked there by Mania. Looks like they will throw a hook out. Gets Beastmaster. Finally it looks like Empire are coming off tilt. They figure it out. Pudge lives on barely any health. And they pick up 4 kills for 1 there. A good trade in the end. A very messy gank though. I've got to say though, if there's going to be a messy lineup, it's Empire's lineup. Ganking lineups are generally extremely chaotic and messy. Makes them very frustrating to play against, but when you mess them up, you can mess them up hard. Good recovery though. That said, that hook here, that should not have happened. That really should not have happened. We see a Sonic trap down. That was the first one there, as it looks like Kenshi get a Meld Strike in. The slow is down. Vigos should be able to escape here. Or maybe not. No, barely gets away. Decides to come back though. Bottles up and returns into the fray. Another Sonic trap thrown down. Scandal saying, I dare you to come close. You won't like the results. Leshrac though, going to be coming in from behind. He's got a Revelation Ward. He could gun for this kill, but he needs to be careful. Enchantress is nearby. I hear a hook, a Dismember as well. A hook goes out, misses. Sony has been stunned there by the Malefice. And it looks like they're just going to call it a day and back off. Pudge does get cleaned up. And Wisp ends up back in the fountain. You see Enchantress just harassing with a Seder Hellcaller. There's a ward been thrown down by the Radiant. They're looking for this stack. There we go. Beastmaster finally getting a few of those creep. As we see a gank in mid there. Sony picks up yet another kill. And Wisp now just trying to clean up this creep. You hear a bit of a gank happening. It looks like Freezer is in some trouble. They're gunning for him. He should be able to escape here. Batrider, though, grabbing Goblin. Going to try and bring him in under the tower. He's in some trouble. Enchantress now chucking at the Impetus. Freezer needs to be careful. Comes in close to to nullify the damage from Impetus. Smart move there, Empire. Losing one of their spells there to Rubik. He picks up the level 1 Shuriken. Probably not too impressed with that. Thought he was stealing something a little bit more useful. I really like the fact that Beastmaster, quick thinking, actually closed the distance with Enchantress. And you can see there, once she loses the damage from Impetus, she really doesn't hit that hard at all. Tower goes down, looks like we've got a Meld Strike there, Vigor's backing up. Can we get a stun down? There's a Malefice. Will it set up a hook in from Pudge, so setting up the kill on Sony. And with Scandal now in some serious trouble. Flamebreak will finish him off. Here we go, Black Hole thrown in. Funnick is in some serious trouble. Funnick is down. Nebraska unlikely to survive here. Roar will finish him. Seals the deal, and it looks like Empire, like I said, ganking lineups are messy, they're extremely chaotic, but when they go wrong hard, and they're hard to recover with. SS now looking to see if he can pick off anybody. I don't think he wants to do this though. With a level 2 Shuriken, only level 2 spells all across the board, not really going to be able to steal anything here. And this is what I mean by when these lineups go wrong, they are difficult to do anything with, because if you fail a few ganks, a few early ganks, put the enemy ahead of you, it just becomes increasingly difficult to gank them. And so it just kind of snowballs out of control. And it's like if you don't have a gank, if you have a ganking lineup, you can't gank. What can you do? Go and farm. You can't really push. You don't really want to be farming all day long. You want to be ganking and suppress the enemy because your late game isn't going to be that impressive. Fortunately for them though, in this case it is more a push-oriented lineup, so they don't have any huge ticking time bombs in the form of, say, an Anti-Mage or a Morphling or a even a Void. Actually, Void's one of the more popular hard carries at the moment just because of his ultimate. But it becomes very difficult to deal with them in the late game. So if you have to stop ganking because the enemy is now ahead of you and you need to go and try and out-farm them in a farming battle, it's not a good position to be forced into it because you're unlikely to win. Rubik now seems to be the target of Pudge's attention, has smoked up. It looks like he's just going to charge in there, decides just to run straight in. There's the telekinesis, going to throw him back, decides not to go for the hook as he sees 2 ports immediately respond. Batrider now, 30 gold there. Oh, I thought he had a Blink Dagger, hasn't picked it up yet. Has gone for Arcane Boots first. Often we've seen actually Batriders lately just go straight for Tranquil Boots instead. As Enigma now. Looks like he's trying to build a mech there. Very stock standard item for a push lineup. You do need to grab one of them just to help sustain the pushes. You hit Batrider, he's just going to be, looks like he's just going to clean up a few camps with his Firefly. Beastmaster now, he wants to farm this camp. He's not too sure. Last time that he came over here, somebody tried to gank him. Of course, it all worked out. But he's still definitely quite worried. He does have some wards up here to keep himself covered, though. I think he's more worried about people coming up the lane from this direction and picking him off. Pudge and Wisp tethering up. Are they thinking about a teleport here? I think they're thinking about it. It looks like Bounty Hunter is going to be baited into them. We see no, they've got a telekinesis. We don't really have the mana. Here comes Pudge though. They're going to try and save SS. The stun sends the tether. Look at those Wisp sprites. Cause massive damage. Rubik gets cleaned up. And it looks like Empire will take the kill and then retreat. Mass Ports. A big overextension or basic overreaction here from AL, or maybe not. Pudge as well as Wisp retreat there. This is something a ganking lineup can force, so big overreactions. Now we've got a lot of heroes dragged away from the top lane, end up in the bottom lane. A stun on Linnea. Scandalous walks straight into this, and Malefice as well. She's unlikely to survive. Gonna go for the Meld Strike. Not gonna happen. Oh, wow, nice save attempt by Pudge. Doesn't quite pay off. Pudge now gonna teleport to farm the top lane. See if Freezer actually starting to pick up some items. Pinging Rubik for some particular reason. Looks like Rubik is busy building himself a 4-star there. Batrider now, still only 300 gold, nothing major. So it looks like they are going to gun here for Sony. Can they pick him off? Sony is working towards his Bloodstone. Gets picked off there. Unfortunately, they managed to catch him out. They gets cleaned up by the Impetus from it. Just Pudge finding himself a good hook down. Mania's Dismember as well. Rod is on him. Can we see any support coming? Mania throws down the stun. Should be able to escape here. The second stun kicking him 2 seconds. A hook though. Here comes a Dendy hook. Or not. Hook goes out. Latches on. Nice shot there from Pudge. It was a bit of a blind hook. Good predictive powers. that said, of course, it was a bit of a choke bomb, but at the very least, Pudge managing to land that hook up the hill and out of line of sight. Vigos now going to Firefly into the enemy jungle. I think they know there's trouble in there. They're going to pick off Enchantress. Enchantress is in some serious trouble. The trap goes down from Linnea. Wild Axes as well. Inside Firefly. Looks like he's going to use a Flame Break. Pushes it back in. Wisp tethering. Trying to get Goblin back out of there. The dust has been popped. Batrider has to retreat. Freezer also on the run. Linnea throwing down a Sonic Trap. Can they get the damage in here? Roar goes down Linnea. Wisp now causing some damage with those sprites. Flame Break going to knock them back as well. Linnea refracting up. Still a bit of a battle happening in the woods. They're going to try and chase down Enchantress. Enchantress may have overextended. Wild Axes miss. And now they're going to try and run down Linnea. Linnea gets picked up. They miss. No, they managed to land that stun there. Linnea stacking the stuns. Another dust gets popped. Wisp now going in with Tether. Going to try and speed Linnea out. Tries to get the Tether stun off. Fails. Wisp goes in the wrong direction. Slight miscommunication. Another Sonic Trap gets thrown in. Looks like Rubik goes down. Sony has been picked off. Beastmaster also in serious trouble. Beastmaster goes down. Here comes Pudge. Strike though doing critical damage to Rubik. Pudge now backing up. Pudge also losing health rapidly. Black Hole is up. A hook in. Does no damage. Refract from Stolen Refract. Shielding him up. There's the Black Hole. Pudge is down. Linnea gunning for a kill. Rubik gets taken out as well. And now Enchantress, who is somehow still alive. Another Sonic Trap for Linnea. They're going to gun here for Mania. Shuriken gets tossed in. And this is the end of Mania. No way he's walking away from that. 3 more track kills there. Or track assists. And that is definitely a pretty big win there for Empire. Managed to get some kills on the board, and more importantly, getting some track kills on the board. Templar Assassin appears to be going straight for a Mantis style here. She has picked up an Ultimate Orb. It looks like Vigos on the run there. Sonic Trap gets thrown down again. Scandal now. 1,200 gold in the bank. Is getting close to finishing off that Yasha. This is definitely a slightly different build. I think they're hoping that she's hoping that she doesn't need lots and lots of mobility, just because they're relying on Pudge and Wisp to basically kick off these fights. We'll have a look at the gold chart at the moment. It's currently pretty much neck and neck. We saw the Dire was getting ahead, but those last couple of fights there, Empire have been drawing it back just a bit. Meanwhile, the experience chart is also slightly in favour of the Dire, but not by much at all. And this just mostly comes down to the fact that there is a fair bit of roaming happening for Empire. Of course, they are a gank-oriented lineup, so this does slow down their income from farming. But it shouldn't be too much of a big deal. Of course, the early ganks also did not really pay off all that much. But as is, they are definitely making some decent comebacks. Port in the middle, and Ad's just going to go in here. Looks like she's going to try and help out. There is a bit of a gank. Batrider dragging Pudge down the cliff, trying to escape here. Hook misses. Nice dodge there from Vigos. And Wisp, Linnea and Funica are unable to seal a kill there. Batrider retreating into the enemy jungle. Looks like he's going to link up with his teammates and just push down this bottom tower, which will fall quite easily. No response here. A bit of a counter push happening up top, although there's honestly not a lot that Wisp as well as SS can do there to push effectively against the tower. In fact, all they're going to do is kind of just stand there. I think they're mostly hoping somebody ports up here to defend, and then Pudge can pick them off with a hook. Teleport down to the bottom tower though. Mass teleports, in fact. All the Dire still down here, getting ready to keep pushing in. We will need some kind of response here from the Radiant. 3 heroes. I don't think they can hold them off on their own. Wisp just trying to harass them at range with his spirits. A track goes down. Bounty Hunter preemptively tracking up his targets. And it looks like Absolute Legends decided not to overextend. They will back up. They don't have any jungle vision, although they've changed their mind. They're coming back around. Batrider is spotted up though, so they see him trying to sweep around from the side. Pudge is ready to hook in, although SS is possibly getting in his way just a little bit at the moment. He's going to try and intercept and drag somebody back in a moment. Can he get the hook here? There's a whole smorgasbord of targets. Throws the hook in, finds a hawk of all things. Probably somewhat upset about that, as we see SS gets taken out, gets mass stunned. Another steal goes in there. Rubik has managed to nick Nature's Attendants, so Wisp barely escaping a tether, getting him out of trouble. The Flame Break will pick him off though. Nice Flame Break there from Batrider. Hook in, Pudge responds, going to pick off Sony. There's a Dismember. Wild Axe is going to do critical damage as well as a Phase Bolt. Impetus now doing serious damage to Rubik. Will he get finished off? No. Nature's Attendants heal him up as well as a mech, and now it looks like Goblin is in some serious trouble, although to change their mind, they want to focus on Linnea. Linnea has a double damage, but she is about to get focused down. Black Hole knocking her back. Almost got knocked out by the Flame Break. She will get taken out. And now a port in from Bounty Hunter. They need to be careful. Will he get dusted up? He gets dusted up. A poor decision indeed. Stuns there from Malefice. A Wild Axis as well. Firefly on top of that. And now they're just going to dive in, although Vigos has to back up. The tower is focusing him. A Wisp now teleporting in. He's not bringing any friends. I may regret this immensely. Tethers away. Flame Break misses. And Wisp is probably going to take Goblin, but no, cancels the tether. Will just teleport back on his own. And Empire appear to be flagging. That was not a good fight for them at all. SS was too aggressive, walked straight into this counter ward and got picked off. They really need to be careful about this. They're just not getting these tracks down because SS is getting picked off too early in the fight. Also, guys, keep in mind this is a best out of 3 game, and this is just number 1 in the best of 3 series. So even if a team loses here, there is still more matches to come. Pudge now still working on his Hooded Defiance. This is actually something that I haven't seen. Like, rushing Hooded Defiance is kind of an older build. Pudge these days, sort of the thing they go for earlier on is basically mobility. He just goes for an early earn and then picks up. He goes for an early earn and then just picks up a 4-star for mobility. Helps him jump around a bit more. The whole just rushing Hooded Defiance not nearly as popular as it used to be. That said, though, against this lineup there is a fair amount of magical damage, so it's sort of a situational decision, especially since they are likely to be quite aggressive, and an early pipe would definitely help out his team quite a lot. Linnea now still has not decided to complete parts of her Manta style. She's deciding to stack that cash. I guess she's maybe just holding on, saying, you know what, maybe if I buy back early on. Because against early pushes, if you get picked up early and then buy back and teleport back in, it is quite effective. As Linnea, she shouldn't have that much of a buyback cost. Yeah, it's only 700 gold at the moment. It's not a huge amount. Could be a lot worse. And honestly, turning a fight and saving a tower could be a much bigger deal, especially if you're spreading out track gold amongst your team. See Leshrac getting closer and closer to finishing his Bloodstone. He's only about 400, 500 gold away from that, getting extremely close to it. And in fact, just finishing it just then, in fact, getting it sent out. So in fact, he already had the items for it. It was just being shipped out on the courier. See some harassment there. Batrider copying that in the face. Bounty Hunter, unfortunately, feeling quite poor. Likely to try and pick up some drums as soon as he can. Meanwhile, in mid though, there we go. Batrider blinks in on his target. He's going to try and pick off Scandal here. The mass stuns on Scandal. No way for him to escape. Gets pinned out in mass DOTs. No way Refraction is going to save him. And now Enchantress, also the next target here, gets... Oh, great hook from Pudge. They pick off the Batrider. Really good counter gank there. Wisp now charging out of the fight. Going to charge straight back in though. Has his spirits pop out there. Can he find any targets? We'll stack them into the Rubik there. Hook from Pudge. Only finding a creep. Wisp being sent home. Refraction still being stolen by Rubik. It does make him surprisingly tough to kill. Rubik has, of course, got his 4-star done and dusted. Game is being paused here. Gold graph, if they would like to see the gold graph, bring it up then. It is a 2k gold lead at the moment for the Dire side. This is looking... You see the last... It's one of those things, like I said, a gank-oriented lineup is very chaotic. We see here, this is where... You see down there, this is where Empire started to pick up a whole bunch of kills, and then it just turns around as they lose a crap load of kills in a row there, and it just sort of skyrockets out of control. See, some people saying this game looks more like a Russian house. You've got to remember, these CIS teams, they tend to favour extremely aggressive lineups, and they sort of win big or lose big lineups. Either they work extremely well, and you crush your opponents. It's one of these lineups. It just either you get the hooks off, you get the track ganks off, you get the teleport ganks off, and it goes absolutely out of control. You get so much money out of it, or you get ganked, you fall behind, your enemy starts getting items, and you can't gank anything anymore, and you just get pushed down, or either a hard carry just starts getting completely out of control. It's just one of those things. It's a win big or lose big lineup. Beastmaster still working on his Necromnicon there. It's only a level 1 though. In fact, is that the new... are the new models there for the Necro Warriors. Let's check the experience chart as well. 3,500 advantage there. And again, see just these fights just swinging it back and forth like a huge pendulum. In fact, we might just start seeing the gold per minute at the moment. So much ganking though. Currently only 360. This is definitely unusual. 360 GPM is the highest. It belongs to Linnea. Sony is only just a little bit behind with his Leshrac. He's starting to get enough mana to actually start using Pulse Nova. That's where he got his final part from. Of course, he actually decombined the boots of the Arcane Boots. This is a very stock standard maneuver on the Leshrac. You have Arcane Boots, and you split them up to just basically pop out the final part of your Bloodstone. And then in the late game, you either, if you're struggling a little bit, you can buy Treads or even Phase Boots to help you out. Or if you're going into late game, you just buy Travels. And Travels with Leshrac is incredibly powerful because, of course, the Bloodstone makes his cooldown timer drop extremely low, and he can just teleport straight back to the fight. Either that, or he can just buy back and teleport in. Definitely travels late game on the Shrek are absolutely insanely good. Enigma now is currently sitting. Looks like he's working on... Yes, a 4-staff is coming indeed. There we go, game being unpaused. They are just going to push down the mid. There is a bit of defense ready to go. Can Pudge isolate a target here? Track goes down on the Shrek. He's looking for the angle. Can't quite find it though. They're very smartly. Look at the wave of minions positioning themselves in between them, making sure they can't get hooked out. Dust gets popped there, but it was the Dire side, I think, popping the Dust, and not finding anybody. Although Wisp now running for his life here. He's quite speedy. Has picked up the Tranquil Boots. Tethering down to Pudge. Can Pudge find a target? Pudge has finished off his pipe. Hawk has spotted him up though. And Roshan now. I think AL though, they're more faking this out. They're just trying to get them to come down here. Or are they? They might actually gun for it. Looks like they're going to send the Hawk to scout. They can pop up some Eidolons with the Boar in a second. Or maybe they won't bother. Batrider now going to come in. Stun goes out. And looks like Absolute Legends will be able to get a free Roshan here, as Empire are not responding. Looks like they don't know what's happening. Enchantress may actually just scatter it out with the Seder Hellcaller in a second, although she might just be looking for the rune. No, she will be scouting it out. It is going to be too little too late though, as Roshan is likely to get cleaned up here. Come with me using refracted block damage there. Nice and easy Roshan. Should be able to fix that up in just a second. The Hawk is still spotting up though, so they know they've got plenty of time to finish it off. They give it to Leshrac. Makes perfect sense. The stun goes out from Enchantress. Gets picked up though by the telekinesis. Split Earth landing. Insta gives to Enchantress. She is just way too squishy. Very, very low strength gain. The hero didn't get a chance to pop a mech. Looks like she's still trying to finish Treads as well. Has done and gone and finished Urn of Shadows there, but at the same time, still way too squishy. See Drums finish on SS now. Fennec also working towards Drums. Now an easy tower down. 5-man tower at the moment on the bottom lane. Empire going to have to sacrifice that. Scandal now just taking and responding with the first tier top tower of his own. This is the issue. They just cannot push fast enough to counter these pushes. That's the second time they've had to go up there while the enemy team was completely preoccupied. They are going to keep pushing in though. Scandal going to keep moving in. And Templar Assassin is actually a Lincoln Sphere. This is a very unusual build. And I think this is mostly just sort of because Scandal is sick of getting pinned down by stuns. Of course, you've got Raw, you've got Lasso, so it will allow him to basically prevent Batrider from jumping in and initiating on him. But at the same time, they can quite easily knock it off with some cheap items, so we'll see if it actually makes any difference. Of course, it does make Templar Assassin quite annoying to try and gank, but at the same time, it really does cut down on her damage factor. Whereas getting something, or even just the mobility factor, is really good as well from, say, a Blink Dagger. But overall, very expensive item and doesn't give her huge leaps and bounds of survivability. It does help fix up mana issues though, of course, gives her plenty of base stats as well as just a regeneration is nice. But when it comes down to it, it's just one of the time. It's nice, but it's expensive, and honestly, in this situation, I think they probably should have just gone big or gone home. Just gone all out for the mana style, even just a BKB. In all honesty, I do prefer the BKB on Linnea instead. I guess it wouldn't have been as effective in this case because, of course, Raw and Black Hole just go right through it. But you could argue, the Black Hole just goes right through Lincoln's as well. It doesn't really give a damn. See the mass gank here. Linnea now in some trouble. Can they pin it down? Yes, they will, although Flame Break being used to knock her back on the high ground. I think they know she has a Lincoln, so Batrider opting not to lasso her. Thrown in the counter wards, find nothing in the end. Linnea managed to sneak away. And it looks like Absolute Legends, they will just have to sell. There is a bit of a counter push happening on the bottom lane here. As well as Pudge and Wisp, though, they are ready to jump in and counter gank if necessary. And I think they will. Absolute Legends now making their claim on mid. They are going to push down here, try and get rid of this tower. May go as far as Rax. Pudge and Wisp getting ready to teleport into the fray. Do we have a scroll on Linnea? Yes, we do. They can all move in here. And it looks like they aren't going to tether up. They are just going to walk back in here, or teleport back in here normally. Wisp also arriving. Linnea also about to shop. A 4-staff there on Come With Me. Gets 4-staffed out of position. Goes invisible. They get the hook in though. Sony in some trouble. They are healing him up though. He has massive heals. Black Hole catches 3 heroes. Gets stunned though by the Split Earth. Gets knocked off. No, actually, no, he gets stunned there. I think it was by Bounty Hunter throwing in a Shuriken. As it looks like they've already taken out Pudge. Already taken out Enchantress. No heroes down for AL. They are crushing this fight. Wisp now trying to hold off. Almost dies. Does get cleaned up. He accidentally killed the Warrior with his Guardian Spirits and got taken out by Sony's Lightning and a Fade Bolt from Come With Me. That was unfortunate indeed. I don't think that was an intentional kill there from Freezer on the Necromnican. Just a bit of an incidental thing. See a 4-star there from Come With Me, getting him out of trouble to get the tower though. It looks like they're just going to call it a day and back off. A good series of kills, 3 heroes down, none in return, a tower as well. AL are probably feeling quite good, although it looks like Mania maybe it's trouble. No, they're baiting them back into it. A Flame Break Mel doing critical damage to Mania. He will need to bake back up there, pops some heal there, as it looks like Linnea now. Bounces a spell, blink in though, it was not the Lasso. Lasso's still on cooldown there, they are going to slow down. Flame, oh no, Firefly doing some serious damage, but not getting enough slows in. Sonic Trap, looks like Empire coming for a second try. I hear Pudge and Wisp, they're going to be showing up. It's Wisp and Pudge, they are here. The stuns go out from the tether. Pudge instantly killing Rubik, and they're going to keep running in here. Going to try and pick off Mania. The Sonic Trap not finding any targets, too short. And a blink away from Batrider also finds himself a double damage rune. The Mania now comes into a bad situation. Walks straight to Linnea. Hook will finish that off. Pudge taking that kill. Batrider also backing up as well. Sony now sees really racking up the charges. I do like where Leshrack's going with the Ghost Scepter. This will just help him, prevent him from being burst down by Templar Assassin. Also, it will just keep Bounty Hunter out of his face as well if necessary. We'll need to watch out for Pudge, obviously. Hitting Ghost Scepter next to Pudge will be a bad idea, but at the same time, if you can keep the physical burst damage away from Linnea, that will definitely help out quite a bit. Especially since right now he doesn't have any serious armor items, and Meld will tear him a new one just from the negative. Meld as well as Track. The negative armor from that will make him extremely vulnerable, extremely squishy. It looks like he could be working towards a Hex, although that could be a Shiva's as well. Like I said, the negative armor issue is a serious problem for him, so it wouldn't surprise me if he does go for Shiva's. But at the same time, a Hex to deal with Scandal, or either Scandal or even being able to Hex Pudge is a very useful asset indeed. See a port in there. Wisp though getting in the way, blocking the hook. They go for the hook, manages to pick it up, unable to dodge, straight to the tether. And this is slightly better communication. There's the steal. Batrider goes down. What did he get though? A gem. It's Dismember. He's got level 2 ult from Pudge there. And will he go? It looks like he has also got the gem. Just going to be doing a little bit of counter warding. Teleport back for Linnea. Meanwhile, Empire just defending the mid lane as well. Wisp and Pudge. Pudge has actually gone for a Blade Mail. This is not a terrible idea. It does help him deal damage against, say, the AoE damage against Leshrack will do a ton of damage back in his face. At the same time, though, it is slightly counterintuitive in the fact that Pudge, if he tries to use it against Leshrack, he will already be reducing a massive amount of damage against Leshrack just because you have the Pipe's spell resistance combined with Flesh Heap's spell resistance plus the Pipe shield. And obviously, well, that doesn't work too well with the Blade Mail, if I'm getting my mechanics right there. Templar Assassin, though, it looks like she will be built. I think that's probably going to be a BKB. She does need these defensive items to prevent her from being shut down. Although, then again, it could just be a Stygian Desolator, just because it makes her hit like a complete nut of truck. Maybe want to deny this tower. Oh, she's not deniable yet. Sonic now, still very poor. 1,500 gold in the bank, though. Shrek, what? Almost level 16. Level 3 Necro from... Level 3 Necro is always painful. Just waiting for Whispers or Pudge either to kill themselves on that again. Looks like both teams just calming things down a little bit. Empire, or AL rather, getting ready to farm up a little bit before they move out again. They have lost the Aegis. I think that went away naturally. I didn't see it get used up in the fight. Bounty Hunter, though, picking up a Vladimir's offering. Now, this helps them out in the push potential. I honestly feel, though, they probably should have gone for a bigger item. It's not going to help them out that much directly in fights. It's good for pushing and all around. It's helpful. But in this case, they haven't really got a great push lineup. And I feel like they might have wanted to just go for a bigger item on him. At the same time, though, the extra damage on Linnea is always nice. Sonic Trap being thrown down behind Batrider. Batrider not too worried, though. He does have the blink. And Firefly to keep him out of trouble. I hear the stuns going down. Looks like they're going to try and pick off Goblin. Black Hole goes in, catches 3 heroes. Flaming Lasso just finishes up there. A split Earth. No, miscommunication. Flame Break messing that up. That could have been beautiful. They may get a few kills here anyway, but that ruins a perfect combo there. And Pudge will be beaten down here by auto attack to Flame Break, going to finish him off. They pick off Enchantress and Wisp as well in the end, but that just, it was messy. And honestly, Batrider should have thought twice about that. Really did not need to throw that Flame Break in. Completely mistimed it with the Split Earth. But they will pick off those heroes anyway. They're going to get a tower down, likely a Rax. 3 heroes are dead. Not much they can do. And Rubik has found himself a hook. Just spamming it because he can. And yeah, here we go. Easy Rax. Still 10 seconds on the next Radiant Heroes to pop up. There's not much Linnea can do 1v5 or even 2v5 with Bounty Hunter's help. They are just opting to counter push. Rax is dead and the teleport's coming. They will quite easily defend this tower. And a port up top as well. Same deal. In fact, they might even try and run it. No, they decided not to try and run down Linnea. This is definitely looking dire for Empire. I'm going to feel... Man, they're on a 22 win streak. I think somebody's... Oh, wow. I don't think anybody was really betting on AL to win this one, but AL currently looking quite strong. Of course, only the first game in the best out of 3 series, so plenty of time for Empire to get themselves back into shape. They definitely were on tilt early in the game. But not the best of starts. We're going to bring up the gold chart again in a second. And you see that they had a few decent comebacks there, but it's just sort of spiraled out of control. Every now and then they get a slight comeback, but they just cannot maintain those series of ganks. Every time they seem to be making a little bit of progress, they immediately fall back and get picked off. And this is definitely the most damning thing. The experience is really getting out of control. And once you start losing the level advantage, it becomes very difficult to maintain any kind of lead. Sony now gets picked off there. Pudge leading with a hook. Looks like they may just charge in. They are going to try and pick off a few heroes here. The teleport comes in. It looks like Leshrac will be back, of course. He does have charges there on the Bloodstone, making him come back almost instantaneously. Believe it was... Yes, it was not a buyback there. Roshan back up. Empire getting ready to guard it. They've been spotted though. The Hawk sees all. Beastmaster sees everything. Gets spotted up there. Gets dragged down the cliff. Pudge is in some serious trouble here. Gets isolated. Split Earth going to stun Pudge. Roshan actually getting pissed off and wading into the fray. There's the Blade Mail being popped by Pudge. Roars it up. Goes in. No Black Hole at the moment. Firefly doing a ton of damage. Down goes Wisp though. He buys back immediately. Get a teleport out again. Pudge gets a hook off on Leshrac. Leshrac dismember. Pudge gets the kill. Leshrac though, he will be back quickly. Go back now. Going toe to toe with Vigos. Vigos still fighting. Hero down a piece on either side. 4-star backwards there for Rubik. So it looks like they will just keep fighting here. Wisp teleports back out of the fight, teleporting straight back in as well. A 4-star there on Mania gets picked off there by the Shuriken. A hook save by Pudge, going to get Goblin out of trouble. But it looks like now they're going to try and run down Mania. It's Templar Assassin. She did go for the Stygian and it picks him off. Enigma goes down, and now Scandal trying to extract himself. There's Wisp with a tether. Can he save it? Looks like he may get him away. Lasso on the Wisp. Wisp going to sacrifice himself. Take one for the team. Flame Break goes in once again. Wisp is down. Goblin about to die as well. Split Earth will pick him off. And 2 heroes to save 1. I think they should have just cut their losses there on Wisp. Wisp was taking one for the team. No need for Enchantress to go back in. But now we've got these heroes that are on the Dire team working on Roshan, and that is not good news for the Radiant at all. They can't really muster a decent counterattack, but they're going to try. Pudge has been spotted up once again. The map control on Empire's team is not fantastic, especially not compared to the Dire side. Early gems, lots of wards everywhere, as well as the Hawk. It just makes it very difficult for Empire to get these ganks off because they get spotted coming so many times by this bloody Hawk. Roshan been left up though. AL ducking back into the Ancient Pit, just going to clean them up. See Bounty Hunter now has just picked up Yasha. Often on Bounty Hunter, I often see the Yasha just gets left as a Yasha. They sometimes don't even bother going for the Mountain style. They just go, you know what, Yasha's a nice little cheap cost-effective item. Let's just stick with that, especially when he's going eco-friendly with his build. Has got a lot of cheap items, drums, Vlads, Yasha, all fits in. I mean, I actually have seen Sanjin Yasha being picked up a few times. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it on Bounty Hunter. I prefer it on, like, if I want to see it, I tend to think it's definitely okay on a hero like Naix, or even a hero like, such as Dragon Knight. We've seen it in the Southeast Asian scene. Sanjin Yasha on a Dragon Knight is quite effective now, as it looks like they are going to gun for Roshan here. The counterattack is coming from Empire. They may have waited too long to start this. Can they get Roshan down? They need to say this edict gets popped. They won't have it. Very short hook there on Pudge. Not even close to securing anybody there. And it looks like with that, Roshan will be picked off. Leshrac will take it up there. The Dire do sneak in that kill. Wisp trying to steal it with the orbs. Doesn't manage to happen though. Now we're seeing the telekinesis there. Black Hole goes in. Only catches 2 heroes. Wisp as well as, who was that? Linnea getting picked up as well. Bounty Hunter is down. Wisp is dead on top of that. Pudge goes to the dismember. This looks like a wipe for Empire. 1v5 for Pudge, no hope at all. That's a wipe, that's a wrap. GG is called. Leshrac teleports towards the enemy base. No hope at all. Empire, they're down 1-0 now. AL take the first victory. Definitely a bit of an upset here. Empire were the community favourites. AL though, stalled them. This is what I mean by the ganking lineup. They're chaotic, they're unpredictable, but when they work, but when they fail hard. As you can see, they're 21-38. Once you fall behind in the early game, it is very difficult to get back on top. And not to mention, though, I've got to say, AL did have a nice counter draft to it. Just the fact the amount of map control they had was ridiculous with Beastmaster's Hawk, plus a really strong warding. Early gem from Rubik as well was very, very good for just getting rid of map control and making sure it was difficult and dangerous for Empire to gank. Anyway, guys, this has been Triumphant Man. I have been casting in Premier League Season 3. This has been the first game, Empire versus Absolute Legends. Stay tuned. We'll have Game 2 coming up. In just about after a 5-minute break, we'll have Game 2 pop up. So stay tuned, guys. And of course, make sure you check out the Premier League. Check out our website. Here it is, thepremierleague.eu. You can also find our YouTube channel, all the social media on the little tab down there. But stay tuned. Back in 5 minutes with game number 2, Empire versus Absolute Legends.